If you want to naturally double your testosterone levels, the big and the small things that you do every day are what separate success from failure. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 key tips that I teach my clients to use every day to naturally double and even triple their testosterone levels. Be sure to stay until the end because I'll give you a huge bonus that'll make all of your health and testosterone optimization efforts massively more effective. Testosterone boosting trick number 1 is avoiding toxic foods. Now, our modern society is drowning in toxic foods that kill a man's testosterone levels. So if you want to have exceptional testosterone, you need to know how to avoid the toxic foods and choose the right foods that'll actually boost your testosterone levels. To start with, you need to avoid processed foods as much as possible. In fact, you'd be better off just skipping a meal if the only option you had was to eat processed food. Processed foods have no micronutrient value and they actually deplete your body of nutrients when you eat them. Now, because people always ask, what does processed food mean exactly? Well, processed foods are generally foods that are high in carbs and sugars. They're anything in a package, anything with an ingredient that you don't know what it is, anything with a seed oil in it or a hydrogenated oil in it. So some classic examples are bread, pasta, chips, crackers, cookies, pastries, cake, candy, and ice cream, just to name a few. So if you're tempted to eat one of those foods, look at the ingredient label and look for things like hydrogenated oils. Vegetable oils, which are actually seed oils. Look for high fructose corn syrup, or something called autolyzed yeast extract, which is essentially a hidden form of MSG. And then also look for any ingredients that you can't pronounce. So basically, if the ingredient list is more than 5 simple whole foods, you're going to want to avoid it. And whole foods are things like rice, potatoes, fruit, butter, cheese, eggs, beef, chicken, fish, and vegetables. And so here's the key to this trick. Try to get into a mindset of eating things that someone would have eaten 100 years ago. And you need to use this trick every day so that you can dodge all the toxic food traps that are all around you and make sure that you're giving your body foods that will actually support your testosterone levels. Testosterone boosting trick number 2 is avoiding toxic supplements. So along with toxic food, we're also swimming in a sea of toxic supplements that can harm your digestion, create inflammation, and kill your testosterone levels. This one surprises a lot of men, but I think that at least 90% of the supplements on the market are either useless or they're actually bad for you, especially multivitamins, because multivitamins use synthetic nutrients that are actually toxic to your body. Pretty much every multivitamin is using the cheapest form of every nutrient, and those forms are generally toxic or at the very least ineffective. There's a lot of substances in these multivitamins that we take for granted thinking that they're okay, but they're actually toxic. Some examples are ascorbic acid, or anything bound to citrate like potassium citrate. Also synthetic B vitamins like cyanocobalamin, magnesium oxide, which is a terrible form of magnesium, or iron, which is basically just metal that your body can't actually utilize, so it just builds up in your gut. We've also got calcium, which most of the time is just powdered rock, which also just builds up in your body. It might not be so bad if they gave you small doses of those toxins that are posing as nutrients, but they give mega doses of those cheap supplements. So taking them means that you're flooding your body with these toxins in disguise. So using this trick every day means that you're going to stop taking the vast majority of the supplements that you're on, especially if you're a guy who takes a lot of supplements. And within a week or 2 of avoiding them, you're probably going to notice that you feel a lot better. The other part of this testosterone boosting trick is to get your micronutrients from food as much as possible. I recommend what I call nature's big 3 multivitamins: egg yolks, bee pollen, and beef liver. To me, egg yolks and bee pollen are everyday foods that are also multivitamins, and I do indeed eat them every single day. Now, beef liver is something I only eat once a week because it's so nutrient dense that you can actually overdo it if you're not careful. So not only will this trick save you from wasting money on useless vitamins and minerals, your body will be healthier because you'll be avoiding those toxic supplements. So with those 2 tricks of things to avoid every day, testosterone boosting trick number 3 is something to make sure that you are doing, which is to keep your body moving as much as possible all day long. Now, this starts with standing instead of sitting whenever possible. Now, I used to think the phrase sitting is death was just hyperbole, but it's not. Sitting is fine to rest once in a while during the day, and it's also good to sit when you're eating meals. But other than that, I want to always be standing during the daylight hours. And that's because our natural circadian rhythm is to be active and in motion during the day. Then at nighttime, that's when we should be sitting and winding down. Now, this is important for so many reasons, but the most basic one is that if we're sitting all day, we're telling our body that we don't need to be strong enough to even stand up for very long. And in order to have naturally high testosterone levels, we need to tell our body that it needs to be strong and active. So the solution here is to get a sit-stand hybrid desk so that you can gradually get used to standing more. I also recommend to make sure that you have good barefoot shoes on when you do this, or just actually be barefoot if you can. So I'm standing right now because that's my default during the day, but it took me a few months to get used to it way back in 2016 when I first started. But once I made it a habit, I very quickly got to where I don't even like to sit. So standing instead of sitting has a lot of health benefits. It gives you better blood flow, better lymph flow, and it's better for your posture than sitting. Of course, you have to make sure that you're actually standing with good posture. And just the act of standing doubles your metabolism versus when you're sitting. It's also a form of gentle movement because you're going to shift your weight around a lot more than when you're just sitting. And so there's really nothing but upsides to a standing desk. So start looking into making that transition if you're sitting at a desk all day right now. Your health will get better, your posture will improve, and it's going to help support your testosterone levels. Another kind of movement you need to do every day is walking. So you should aim for 8,000 steps a day, but don't worry about hitting that number right from the start. Just start with wherever you're at and slowly add more walking time to your day and just let your body adapt to it over time. Also, remember those barefoot shoes I just talked about? Well, that's what you want to be wearing when you're walking too. Now there's a lot of brands of barefoot shoes out there and a lot of them look like normal shoes. So what I recommend is just shop around and find ones you like. And the reason you want the barefoot shoe is so that it's not squeezing your toes down. It's letting your toes spread out and it's not elevating your heel because that's not natural. You want to be as close to barefoot as possible when you're walking. Now, moderate exercise and strength training also need to be in the mix, but I talk about those all the time, so I want to move on to the bonus that I have for you. And that bonus is the umbrella that every single testosterone boosting strategy that you use needs to fall under, which is having a holistic mindset with your approach to health and your testosterone. So this is the glue that holds it all together, because if you don't have a holistic approach, you're going to haphazardly bounce from one thing to another, and you're never going to put all the pieces together. Now, the main principle of a holistic approach is that everything in the body is connected to everything else. So you need to think of your body as a series of systems that all work together. So that means that anything you do to one system will either be limited or enhanced by what you're doing with your body's other systems. Your testosterone levels are controlled by your endocrine system, but your endocrine system never works alone. It relies on the micronutrients it gets from your diet and your digestive system to produce hormones. So digestive issues have to be addressed for optimal testosterone levels. You have to get your gut health on point if you want to have good health and good testosterone. Your endocrine system's feedback loops also depend on your nervous system. So problems with your nerves are going to impact your testosterone levels. So for example, if your electrolytes are low, your nervous system won't work as well, which means your endocrine system isn't going to work as well. Your endocrine system also depends heavily on your circulatory system and your lymphatic system, which work together to deliver nutrients into your cells and remove waste from your body. So any issues with your lymphatic or your circulatory systems are going to have a big impact on your endocrine system. Your endocrine system also relies on the signals that it gets from the light that you absorb. So when you absorb enough sunlight through your skin and your eyes, it helps your endocrine system produce more testosterone. Your skin is part of a system called your integumentary system, and that system processes sunlight and turns it into vitamin D, which is actually a hormone, not a vitamin. And the D that your integumentary system creates is far superior to the D that you get in a supplement form. Remember trick number 2 about avoiding toxic and ineffective supplements? Well, the 2 versions of D are not the same at all, and the one that your body produces from sunlight is far more effective at stimulating your testosterone production than a D supplement is. In fact, most of the men who work with me to help them raise their testosterone levels are taking big doses of supplemental D when they came to me, but it didn't help their testosterone levels at all. So in a holistic systems approach, if your testosterone levels are low, you need to look at all of the things that you're absorbing into your body's systems, and you need to look at how well those systems are able to remove their waste products. So once you really understand how your body's systems interact with each other, this holistic approach is something that you're going to use every day to make dozens of decisions. What to eat, what to drink, what kind of light bulbs to use, how much time to spend outside, how much exercise to get, what kind of exercises you're going to do, the time you go to bed, the time you wake up, how long you watch the sunrise, the people you spend time with, how much alcohol you consume, what kind of media you consume, how much time you spend in meditation and prayer, how much time you spend with your family, what kind of things you do for entertainment, what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of personal care products you use, what kind of supplements you take, etc. So as you can see, this one is a lot more than just one trick. It's one big holistic vision for yourself and the way you interact with life every day. When you have this big picture holistic perspective, you're thinking about how all of your systems interact with each other and how every input you're receiving is impacting your overall health and your endocrine system's ability to produce testosterone. And that means you won't make mistakes like trying to just stimulate your endocrine system with the latest trendy testosterone boosting herb, because you'll know that any results that it'll give will be short-lived if your other systems aren't being given good inputs. So I teach my clients how to view themselves through this holistic health perspective because it's massively important to your long-term success. Having this holistic perspective is kind of like Neo seeing through the Matrix. You can dodge the bullets of toxic supplements, crappy foods, unhealthy energy drinks, misinformation about meat being bad for you, and you won't fall for distractions, fads, and trendy supplements. Instead, you can be laser focused on doing the right things at the right times to make sure you have optimal health. And from that optimal health comes exceptionally high testosterone levels. So now that you know these 3 tricks to use every day and the holistic health perspective that you need to have naturally high testosterone levels, here's another video on naturally raising your testosterone that has information you're definitely going to need. So be sure to check it out.